And good morning and welcome to Touch Base Daily. My name is Ron Foster and I'm touching base with you as I do every day. And I have a special guest on today. Mr. Chris Cook is here. And we're going to be talking about his photography, his art, because not only is he celebrates the arts of two P's. He's a painter and he's a photographer. And so we're going to be talking about his life and how he got into all of that. Also, how he balances it all, because there's two worlds. That's two major mediums for art and being a creative. So we're going to be talking to him. He's in the backstage and he'll be on shortly. And so I'm not going to go into any politics because I can go there today because there's a lot in the news. There's a lot happening, but we'll save that for tomorrow because tomorrow's our Trend Watch Thursday. So we'll have the whole panel and everybody here except for Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn is having her colonoscopy tomorrow. Yes, and also one of my other photography buddies is having his colonoscopy today. And so I am so glad that folks are getting their colonoscopies done. For those that don't know, I am cancer free. I had my colonoscopy 2 months ago, and they found a mass on my colon. And so a month ago, exactly on Monday, it was removed and it's gone, and I'm cancer free. But that is the importance of getting those colonoscopies, getting those screenings, getting the mammograms, getting all those tests. They're so important, especially to the community, Black community and people of color, because we don't always make that a number one objective, and a lot of us are dying because of it. So let's make sure that we get our colonoscopies done. So I'm so proud that two of my photography friends, two photographers, are getting their colonoscopies. One today, one tomorrow. One of my other friends also booked his. So I'm glad that we are saving lives. We are saving lives. Okay, let's go to some hellos. And again, if you guys are in the Instagram world, pop on here from Instagram. Come over to our Touch Base Daily on YouTube, and you'll have a better experience because you can interact. Like I said, we have Chris Cook on today, and we'll have a little Q&A at the end. So let's say hello to some folks. Okay, we got Hannah in the building. She says, "Good morning, Ron and Chris Cook and Touch Base Daily family." There we go. We got the hellos already going out. There's Miss G. Miss G. She's getting ready for her colonoscopy. Woo! Anyway, put her business out in the streets. Must be technical difficulties again. Nope, not at all. I was just getting everything ready for you guys because I have an amazing guest. That's why I was 3 minutes late. I know you guys are about the time. Hey, morning fam, says Adrian. And I see here Rashawn Vincent. Good morning and happy Wednesday, Ron and Touch Base Daily family. And who else? Kimmy's in the building. She sends her little pink glove. Good morning. Yes, he's in the building. Dread D is in the building. Good morning. Nice to see you here. And she says, "Damn, Ron, tell the whole world why, don't you?" I'm so proud of you. That's why I'm telling the world, because I'm proud of you, Miss G. Miss G, I'm proud of you. My work wife. Anyway, here we go. Elise says, "Good morning, everyone." And Elise, this is a show for you. This is a community chat for you because Elise is our art specialist. She's our art collector. She supports artists all over the country. And literally she gets on a plane and supports them. So this is one for you. This is going to be a great talk today. I see some more love. I see some more love between you guys. Okay, going through these. I see in the building. I see here. Hey, and our brother and friend and mentor, Jamel Shabazz, is in the building. He says, Grand Rising fam. Grand Rising fam. And also Warren is in the building. He says, "Good morning, Touch Base family." And who else is here? And we see all the love going between. Hey, Kaz is in the building as well. Kaz says, blessed Wednesday. And make sure you hit the likes. If you hit the likes, it generates and keeps spreading out that we are there's something going on this platform. So make sure you hit the likes. Make sure you put comments in the comment box. The more comments you put in, the more likes you click, the more the algorithms generate, wow, there's something good going on over there. So let's put our focus over there, which means over here. Remember the song, over there, over there, over there. Oh, that's for all you folks from the military world. Over there is the song. I see. So I'm not gonna waste any time. Let me read something to you because I'm gonna just say it exactly how it is. Um, Talk about Chris. And I'm gonna read it from my little page here. And Chris Cook is a fine artist from Brooklyn. Brooklyn in the house, y'all. Brooklyn in the house. Another Brooklynite, known for exploring the complexities of modern society through his work. Skilled in both painting and photography, Cook has documented significant events, including the Black Lives Matter protests in 2020. His monograph, Black Lives Matters, is held in the collections of the Whitney Museum. I'll say that again, held in the collections of the Whitney Museum, the British Library, and Yale University. Cook has participated in artist residencies at the Saltonstall Foundation and received the AIM Fellowship at the Bronx Museum. His work has been featured also in the Washington Post and ABC News. Welcome with no delays, no more delays. It is our wonderful brother, Chris Cook. What's going on, Chris?
How y'all doing? How's everything, Ron? Thank you for having me.
It is a pleasure. It's an honor. It is my honor to have you. For those that don't know, Chris and I have our roads keep crossing in over the years, and it will be just events. We'll be at certain events and run into each other. Hey, what's going on? And even to the point when I was hanging out in Union Square with Jelani and Janet. We got together in Union Square here in New York City, and who do we see? Mr. Cook and his friends. And then we ended up just hanging out. Then we just started doing photo shoots of each other, and we just had a great time. And also, he is such a great supporter in the photography community here in New York. He supports so many of the artists. So, Chris, tell us about, first of all, how are you doing today? In all this chaos in the world, how are you doing today?
Well, I appreciate that. For me, health check. So far, I'm doing pretty good. I know there's a lot going on in the world, and this could be very political. But it's in a sense I woke up early today. I feel blessed to be able to wake up every day and have the option to be able to do anything, do any type of art or whatever the case may be. So I do feel blessed. I do know there's a lot of things going on in the world. However, I'm pretty happy that I have another chance of life, and this is what uh, I feel that if I have many options in life, that means that it's more things I can make. There's more things I could do. It's I could do something, even though I could be not as powerful as many others in the political world, but there's a little something I could do in my own craft, and that's why I feel grateful to be here with you right now.
Well, you have for those we're going to share your Instagram page and we'll share your website, and You have I would just I'm curious, how did this all start? When did you first fall in love with, which came first? Was it painting or photography?
Actually, what came first was sketching. So as a kid, I always had like a composition notebook with me, and even with class or at home, I always was sketching something. And
Mhm.
sketching, drawing, that's just what kept my brain just ticking. So I guess what first came was basically has been technically painting, but it wasn't something that I was doing on a regular basis. It was just
Mhm.
here and there. And once I got introduced with photography, photography came because of at that time I was skateboarding a lot, and I wanted a way to be able to not capture my skateboarding, but with friends and folks and adventures I was having at that time. So that
Mm.
introduced me to photography. And one of the benefits of photography was just simply because I'm able to carry this camera or this simple tool with me everywhere I go.
Mm.
Not to say that I couldn't do that with the sketchbook, but with the camera, I kind of felt like it was simply a compass. And some of the people I would interact with was just simply just walking. I could be going to A to Z, and I could just easily stop just because someone just noticed, oh, is that a camera you have? Are you a photographer? Yada yada yada. And that is something which I not ever in the bathroom though, but everywhere I go, I
Mhm.
just carry a camera with me because I know that I'm going to come across with cross paths with somebody and blossom from there. So technically, I say painting did came beforehand, but the the medium that I got first skill in was into photography.
Mm. Nice. And how long have you been doing photography now? I guess, how long
So
has
now,
you yeah.
oh, sorry. So with photography now, it is close to now actually 10 years. Uh, 10 big old years. So I made a decade, and
Nice.
I started noticing the number between it because I have a whole bunch of uh, portfolios and more importantly negative carriers. So at this
Mm.
point, it is up to 10. So I guess I can hold up to this way now, but 10 years, and it's been a fantastic journey.
Wow. And you have been, because I mean, you have in your decade of photography, you have accomplished a lot. You've
Yeah.
accomplished a lot. What does it feel like to have your work in the Whitney Museum?
So I feel it was definitely a blessing. I think it was also the right timing as well too, because the work that was in the Whitney is from my latest monograph, which is the Black Lives Matter, and
Mhm.
this book just really just documented everything that happened during 2020, which is during the pandemic, some of the uprisings that was happening around that time. And I feel like, especially 2020, that's what really tests my photography skills. Because
Mm.
at this point, the whole world and landscape was completely turned upside down.
Mhm.
And for me as an artist, I just couldn't just help to just stay indoors and just, I guess, obey. I always known as a rebel. So for me, I just had to go outside and photograph what I see. And I surprisingly, I thought it would just been simply when I went outside, I would just photograph a lot of empty cityscapes. But I still managed to meet a lot of interesting people during my journey, and that is what's something that kept me going. So I feel like now with some of the work that is in these institutions, this was just really all the work I put together, archived within that time. And
Mhm.
now I don't know about you, but I feel like when I'm talking about things that happened in 2020, it feels really, really, really far back now
Mhm.
than it is now. But it also just kind of just I look at the book as like a time capsule.
Yes.
Really, when you want to just see how everything was back in the days, majority of people was wearing face masks. There was social distancing, everything around that reigns, uprisings, whatnot, all put together within that one book. And I'm just fortunate enough that there was many libraries, institutions wanted to hold on to that book. So this way, whenever someone wanted to just kind of see a glimpse of like, hey, what did 2020 look like? Then they could utilize that book to kind of see how things look within my own eyes.
Wow. It's interesting you would say that because now we have 5 years. It was COVID. I mean, the shutdown was pretty much around this time, 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and which unleashed a whole nother dimension of world that we live in today. I mean, we had the protests, we had the George Floyd, we had um, Taylor, and we had all the different people that were affected, as in Black Lives Matter. Really, I mean, Black Lives Matter was before 2020, but it really grew legs and became a major part of our history.
Mm-hmm.
And where did you find yourself in the middle of Black Lives Matter? Because you did a lot of images during that time. What inspired you to get to the streets and get out in the streets? Because I know a lot of photographers here in New York, we were in the streets, documenting this moment. What was your inspiration?
So it's interesting you talk based about especially the uprising and Black Lives Matter that happened before 2020 because one of my first early images of just documenting protests was during 2017, and
Mm,
it was what got me introduced in this world was just simply I just tend to just go outside, choose a different area I want to just walk around and just shoot whatever I see. But just from my travels, that's when I saw one of the first protests of Black Lives Matter happening right
mhm.
near Union Square. And I photographed that. And what got me thinking was like, what is this about? Where can I find more information? Um, and I think as I work as a photographer, one of the ways like it's you know as much as like I is go outside to go shoot, capture
Mhm.
this, capture that. Another part of my process is just simply doing research. So I
Yes.
love looking through old images, from
Mhm.
different years, and I also enjoy reading up on certain events. So I guess you could say I think out of all the classes I went to school for, history was one of my strongest subjects because once you know history, you know exactly how not exactly, but you could predict what certain amount of events is going to happen. So
Mm.
for me, what got me into, especially during 2020, was all the research I learned about from how different artists, photographers document during that time. And one of the groups that kind of pushed me into it was learning about the group Kamonge and seeing how those photographers was documenting the civil rights movement of their time. So when I started documenting during 2020, some of those
Mhm.
references I saw from Kamonge or many other photographers around that time of the civil rights movements is what motivate me to document everything what how was happening in 2020. Now, give and take, I did not know this will be something that will happen in a couple weeks, well, ongoing in
Mhm.
a couple weeks. I just start maybe, hey, here and there, but I with all the free time you have during the pandemic, it was just more or less a calling for me to just, I need to be here to document all of this. And simply because one of the first days I went out to document, one of the things I noticed is that how you could look in today's media and you could, if you're there at that certain event, you could see how the media will take what happened and chop it up into its own narrative. And that is one of the reasons why I spend a lot of time documenting during 2020 because I wanted to show my own narrative, not something that
Mhm.
was on news media that it could twist and twist into their own mindset. something that is like, hey, this is, you could get some of the firsthand uh, resource of like someone who's actually there and documented everything moving forward. Because I took a lot of images, but a lot of things I also did was I took a lot of videos too. And it was
Hmm.
mainly because like I wanted some folks who wasn't able to go outside and wasn't supporting from indoors, because not everyone could have came outside even if they wanted to
Yes.
or not. So that was another reason why I wanted just to be out there, was to document everything and be able to show any person who was interested in wanting support, hey, this is what's going on, and these are some of the images that I've captured with all the folks that I met around my journey as well too.
Wow. And you shoot primarily with digital or film? And why do you shoot with that format? Which one do you shoot?
So I shoot with both, and
Okay.
I do both mainly because of, depends on, well, I guess I don't have like a full reason why I want to choose either or. I
Hmm.
do like the film side mainly because whatever images I capture, I are able to have the physical film negative, which is great. And I also think it's another terms of archiving as well too, because when you have the film negatives, and I always recommend store your negatives, put it and keeping it with you just in case you need to reprint it. And for me, I love doing darkroom prints, so that is why I do love the film photography aspect of it. Now, when it
Okay.
comes to digital, I also enjoy digital too. I feel like between both ends, they have certain looks to it. So that image right there you see, that's a digital image. But sometimes some people can't really tell which shot I took, which was film, and which shot I take, which is digital. And for me, that's perfect. To be honest, it's not about what medium you use; it's about
Hmm.
how you use it. And for me,
Yes.
I feel that why I shot film during these times was because I wanted to connect viewers who lived through the civil rights era or seen images of the civil rights era, that film back then was prevalent. So I wanted people to see how we are in 2020 and compare about, I think, 40 to 50 years ago, how things feel the same. Now, don't get me wrong, some of the images I took, you could kind of tell, like, no, this is obviously 2020. But if you take a whole bunch of some of my images that I shot in film and compare it to the ones of the civil rights era, you start seeing a lot of similarities. You start seeing a lot of
Hmm.
things that feels like, are we in the same time? And that's what motivated me to use the film photography throughout 2020, because I wanted to make sure when people see some of these images, it just feels like deja vu. It feels like, you know this happened before, which, in a sense, technically it did. And for me, when it comes to just the digital aspect of it, digital was just also, it's convenient in its own sense where, let's say I run out of film, then I have a digital camera as my backup. And this is something
Hmm.
I could continue taking until my battery died. So for me at that time, it wasn't like I wasn't picking and choosing really. It was more or less that whatever camera I could use as a tool, this is what I'm going to use. Because throughout the whole journey, I kid you not, there was a lot of times where I completely finished all my film and I was stuck.
Mm.
So
Because you are
digital
limited
camera.
when it comes to film.
Absolutely. And it was just, especially around that time during the pandemic, it was just hard to get certain things. So even
Yes.
though that, nowadays it's easy to just walk up to the store to buy like a roll of film, that was very difficult about around that time. It was very hard to just walk up to any store, nonetheless, and just grab what you need and just keep going. And so that's why I was fortunate enough, especially during that time where, either certain friends will be like, "Hey, I love what you're doing. Here's some film rolls I'm not using. Go, because I know you're
Mm.
documenting out there. You need something. Here you go." So it was a very interesting experience, because for me also, I use old. I typically love Tri-X the most. That's why I use for film. Uh,
Okay.
but when you're out of Tri-X, you're gonna grab whatever film you could get. So this is also one of those interesting experiences, because I use so many different type of film, which is it was HP5. At one point it was ooh, what's that German film again? I just can't remember right now. Uh, well, Fujifilm. I also use a bit of
Yes.
Fujifilm. I can't remember the name of the other film I was using, but if it comes to me, I'll definitely let you know. But it was more or less what I'm going to use wherever I have in my ability, because the main thing was just being present and documenting
Yes.
what in front of me.
And use it's similar to when we think about photographers using their smartphone versus using their digital camera, using their film camera. It's it's one is what's available at the moment, to get the shot and to document the moment. And so when you're in the moment, you're not really kind of like going through and say, well, should I use a film camera for this? Because the action
Hmm.
is happening in the moment, and you're really just going to grab the camera that is the most ready and able to document the situation, so that way you can have it, because that moment is like that. So
Right,
you're
right, right.
always thinking about just grab the camera, shoot it, and it's done. What you ended up, and we're going to go into some of your paintings, but what was your in the Black Lives Matter movement? What was your most memorable moment being out there in the streets? What was your most
Oh,
memorable moment?
oh man, it's hard to say what was there's so many I had,
Mm,
but I give you two. One of them was in Harlem, and I remember before it was just a rally, so everyone just met up in one spot, and they was giving out speeches. So there's I remember one gentleman came. He gave like a really powerful speech, and all I remember while he continued speaking, it started raining, and I
mm,
felt that it was just very powerful, because you feel the words, and then you also feel the sky kind of crying from what he's saying, and you could tell that it was very personal. It was straight to the heart, and it was something that he was putting his energy into that speech, and I felt that. And I was just like, wow, this is just a great moment, just to not only document but just to be there and felt that as well too. And the just the rain coming down just kind of just really just it's so many metaphors that I could just really say just from just sitting there being in that moment. And that's one. The second one, you'll be surprised, but one of the things which, as someone who documents, is you talk to so many different people. So some
yes.
of the things which I was able to do was document when I spoke with some folks from the different political scale. So there was at one point there was pushing for Blue Lives Matter, and some of I think it was South Brooklyn where I was, and you know, I was able to talk to some of those folks and just say, "Hey, um, what's your views on so? Let me get your response from it." And some of them was surprised I asked. It was like,
Mm,
and I was like, and I asked, I was curious, like, why are you surprised? Yes, I am of a different color as you, but doesn't mean that we cannot communicate and understand how just to be how like we could have different views, but we could still talk from about our differences in between. So some of them was nice to be able to talk to, but I do understand how certain political views will just automatically all the time just keep fighting each other.
yes.
And I do feel that, when you don't have these super strong political views, you are able to sit down and talk to the person like just as a human. And I feel like something
Yes.
that is quite missing when it comes to this, because regardless of who's president or not, we are all just human, and we will always have differences, but doesn't mean that we can't essentially work together and talk it out as well too. So I feel like that was also another profound moment, because uh, either where regardless whatever political views you may have, you can still talk to somebody.
Yes.
And that is something where I felt that I was probably one of the first they was able to talk to, and maybe perhaps change their mind about what they was seeing things. Because
Yes.
quite honestly, we still in the day and age where certain media, where there's new coverage or stuff you see in articles, newspapers, whatnot, that's what influenced the masses. So
Hmm.
when you are have a chance to now cut through all that, sit down with somebody and talk to them. Sometimes that will just really change someone's mindset, and that is something that I really found that was interesting.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we live in the age of what they call cancel culture. And it's so important that you have dialogue, and it's so important that you have conversations with people that don't agree with you, because that's when you really learn. When you are in a conversation and the person is in opposition, but yet wanting to learn, and we on the other side of the table, engaging in the conversation and also but willing to learn, that's when we all learn together. And so that it becomes very educational. I'm going to switch. I'm going to change the momentum here and take you to your painting world. Your paintings are so, I mean, they cause you to really think. And here we go. I'm going to just share some of these, and you can stop me whenever you want to. These are from, I do believe, from your page, from your
Hmm.
website. And, but this photo right here, I just have to. I can't even go to the next one because this photo. What made not this photo, but this painting? You What caused you to create this painting?
Oh, so for sure. So let's start off with just the history behind it. So, this originated from a actual ad, and it was an ad for a um paint. I'm just trying. Oh, sorry. Now I remember. So yes. So this ad was from Elliot. I think it's Elliot Paint Supply, and this was a real ad. I think these are the type of ads they used to use fences. So they would hire artists, paint it, paint on certain fences and whatnot, and the old type of type advertisement was always being painted rather than you print it and then you it's
Mhm.
some type of adhesive that you paste on to what we have like currently today right now. So I thought that was quite interesting because it was during the time where you could see certain advertisements
Yes.
was focused on the negativity of certain peoples and to be able to sell a product. And back then, this was perfectly normal. There was nothing, of course, the other side of the coin would be folks that, hey, this is talk about, my own people or stereotyping us. But for the general masses, this was something that it was just kind of viewed as just completely normal. So for me, I decided to flip it because that original cover you see, which well, the name of it, American White Supremacy, that was just the name of like the uh the print of sorry, the name of the brand, which is Elliott Paint Supply. So I thought it was just very interesting because even seeing the figures, how the one black figure is painting the other one, it is very telling. And in their eyes, it was just saying that, hey, well, you could use white to paint over everything, even the black is black. You go paint right over it and it will come out as white. And I see how that kind of could translate to what we see as American white supremacy, which is basically taking whatever, whether it's black, white, I mean, sorry, not white, but whether that's black or other colors, and just be able to paint right over that. And I think that is a visual way to just say this is American rice supremacy because you can see it throughout history where it is something that is just taking something and renaming it or just put
Mm.
their name right over that. And you could tell even from paint, because when I first started interning in galleries, Um, one of the things I thought was interesting is just the uses of white paint. It's kind of like
Yes.
it's a standard, and that I just always just thought that was very interesting because even just in today's world, using the color white is in a sense a
You're
standard.
breaking up just a little bit. You okay, keep going.
So those
Hmm.
are like a lot of things that comes into it, but the original reference of this that's original. But for me, when it's I love just so I love just it's the same thing about how I love going through history and pulling certain
Hmm.
references. So for me, with this is just pulling something that was tucked away, kind of like swept away, and bringing it in the forefront. Is that hey, just so everyone know, this really happened.
Yes.
And to add on to that, here's like a reflection what's going on now and how that relate to the past, and perhaps
Wow.
even push even further in the
Let me see here. Let me see if we can get to the next one.
future.
Let me see. Hold on a second. And
Perfect. Sorry.
oh, there we go. Here's
Apologies.
another one.
Right.
Because oh, geez, he's popped away. But what I did, I fell in
Sorry.
love with his work, and so here you have. I noticed that you take pop culture or magazine covers, or like you said, the commercials. You take what's pop culture today, and then you take that, and then you bring it into a statement. You're making a political statement. You're making a statement about culture. You're making a statement about how it relates or how it relates to you in our current situation, politically or geopolitical. So here's one you have on. It's Ebony, the Quest for Black Christ. What was that inspiration?
Oh, so this is a real cover as well too, and this one is probably one of the Ebony controversially covers, mainly because when they first published this magazine cover, they got a lot of heat for it, and
Mm.
you'd be surprised the people that was complaining the most about that cover was black folks. And when you dig through the history, you start realizing why that happened. And that was because reason why they was complaining about it was in their eyes, they was like, well, Jesus is not black, he's white. So, that is just a small example. Oh, small, a huge example, I should say, how it is when you look back during slavery times, how certain tools, such as religion, is used to strip down someone being, someone culture, and to be reinvented. And some of
Mm.
that ways was used was tools such as religion. So you could see that now. I think that magazine is got published between 1950s, 1960s. How even during the times where there was some civil rights upbringing around that time, there's still folks that are like us that was calling, was mailing in, saying how dissatisfied they are from seeing uh, how
Black
Jesus
Jesus.
looked like as a black man. And
I wanna
no,
I know as you're talking, I
yes,
wanna cut you off, but I wanna dive into this a little more, and
absolutely.
it this is interesting. I mean, obviously, this is Ebony magazine, and it is a Black audience. But it this was a magazine that took a moment to say, "Hey, we wanna challenge our community's thinking
Hmm.
on the thought of a Black Jesus, because we know Jesus wasn't white, but yet, when you go to every church back in the 60s, you had white Jesus on the wall, you had white Jesus in TV, white Jesus on the it was always white Jesus.
Hmm.
So, but we all knew that once you start learning history, that Jesus could never have been white and blue, blue eyes and
Right.
all that other stuff. Um, but it was a uprising of sort that the Black community was insulted
mm,
that there was a Black, that the audacity for Ebony to say Jesus was Black. It
mm,
was like the community was upset,
mm,
like it was assaulted, like something was vile was done to them because Jesus was no longer white.
mm, mm,
And that has to be one of the most profound moments in, I would say, because it's a little bit of pop history,
mm,
even though it's in the 60s. It's um how brainwashed as a community, as a people, we became through all the years of being Jesus is white, Jesus is white, Jesus is white.
mhm,
And and then it created such a upright, I mean, just indignation. Like, how could you put a Black Jesus on the cover of Ebony?
mm, mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's something to make you kind of, there's certain thoughts you have to marinate on. You have to just kind of like linger in the history of it all, linger in the thought of it all, and say, that's profound.
Yep. Absolutely. And this is why when I started this series, Mayor of the Times is referenced from a old African American newspaper, uh,
Hmm.
and that was from the 1850s, 1860s.
Yes.
And so the thing is, it's very interesting because when I look research on that newspaper and seeing how some of the work I'm making of these times, you see how there's things is uh, history. I don't like to say history repeat itself. I like to say more like history evolve different generations, and you start seeing things that is like start from here, then repeat, start from here,
Yes.
from here. It's only difference between time now is that certain things change. Maybe the clothes we wear, maybe the way we talk, and that what changed over time. But we do start seeing how things just kind of relate to each other.
There's a statement that said, history may not repeat itself, but it does rhyme.
Right, right.
History doesn't repeat itself, but it
Mhm.
definitely rhymes.
I like that.
So, um, here's another photo. I mean, here's another one of your paintings, and then we're gonna go and we're gonna dive into that. Let me see if it pops up here. Hold on, there we go. Here's another good one
Ah,
here.
yeah.
Time. You got the dollar on the edge of the cap, the graduation cap, the money chase. What American schools are doing to us. Let's linger on. I mean, there's a whole bunch of guys. When you go to his Instagram, you will see lots. We can't possibly go through all of them, but these are just, I think, some of the most profound pieces. And all you art collectors out there, you may want to look really, reach out to Chris and check out his work. And some of your pieces, I think, should be in classrooms. I think some of these should be made into like posters, and that they should they should be in students class. Students should be seeing this, and students should be able to have conversations about what you're doing, and how you're reimagining some of these amazing covers and cover stories. And so here we go. Let's talk about the money chase. You got the MFA, you got the dollars there, the pack of dollars bundle. What's going on, sir? What's in your mind here?
So for this particular piece, I wanted to touch base on how we see our communities where we are taught to, oh, go to college. You know, when you go to college, you get to go out, you get a good paying job, this, that, third. And not to say that isn't true. Education is very important. However, we start to see where education is a price to pay, and some that sometimes it could send us directly to the depths that we're trying to escape from. So I feel like with this one, it's just touching base of like the current scape of education, And we can see that throughout history because originally, when it comes to education for Black people, originally we was denied from attending college,
Mm,
and slowly but surely, of course, there were certain rules and regulations that was passed, but you know how it goes. Where now, since everyone have an option to education, things go change up. Where okay, since everyone have an option to education, we're gonna make it more expensive. So even if
mhm.
you do graduate with a certain degree, you gonna have to owe a certain amount of money to pay off that degree. So in a sense, it's the way that I made this piece is kind of in the sense of you take sometimes you take one step forward and then you take two steps back.
Yes.
So that's the way I made this piece. And on the upper right hand side of the
Mhm.
cover, uh, I think around that time I was creating it, I started noticing how a lot of our U.S. elected officials are extremely old. Not to say that's a bad thing. No disrespect to the old folks, uh, but we
Old.
but I would say this: we have an issue where a lot of our elected officials are extremely on a different time span. They're in a whole different generation, and that could be very troublesome. Where I feel that we need to have our elected officials be very from different age group because certain age groups are going to see things and issues in a certain way, and this is why we have somewhat of a democracy because people can vote on and have their different views on different things. So for me, uh, let's look at it right now. The current president is close to 80. Our last
Mhm.
president was same way, close to 80. And to be honest, if you look through history, I think we had about one to two, just a few presidents that was in a sense young, which is like I believe around 40s, and that could be a bit problemsome. Not to say we should have presidents or elected officials that are extremely young, but we need a diversity where we have young to old to be able to pass rules and regulations. Because just me though, but for we are in 21st century, and if we're still telling women what they want to do, how they should treat their bodies, that's a huge issue because the
Yes.
thing is that we not majority of the country are thinking that way, and that's why I made that cover right there just to show that, hey, is it time for us to talk about term limits? Because I think it is. Because
Oh, yes.
I think if you reach a certain age and you're having trouble to walk, I think it's time for you to pass the torch on to the younger generation.
Yeah, and it's something you bring up a good thought, and I've always as I love history, and I when you look at history, you look at movements. Think
Mm,
about movements. First, think about the Revolutionary War. I mean, let's begin with the beginning of America, right? It began with young people saying, "We don't want this." It
mm,
Every great movement has begun with
mhm,
young people saying, "We resist what you are giving us. We want to change the status quo." You think
mhm,
about it. Patrick Henry and George Washington and all of those folks they weren't old people. We look at them in their pictures today and we see them as old. But when they began the movement of the American Revolution,
mhm.
they were young, very
Yep.
young. When they were running away across the Delaware, bridge, Delaware River, and trying to escape the British, they were young.
Mhm,
The people on the military field or the campaigns were young soldiers, right? So when you
mhm,
think about the world and the arch of history, and you look at all of the periods of great change in world history, but let's keep it to our American history, it's always been led by young people. This civil rights movement, young people. We think of them as old people. We look at Martin Luther King and we say, oh my gosh, he was an old man. But Martin Luther King began at 26 years old.
Yep, that's correct.
The movement, 26. So you think about all those folks that are in their 20s. We, as the older people in the world, in the country, we need to. We like to say. I know D Nice says it all the time when he's on his platform. We got to let the young people breathe.
Mm,
We
yep.
got to let the young people breathe. And young means 30 and younger. I always say that's young, the 30s and the youngers. You know, let them, let's hear their voices. Let's
Mm,
hear how they want to imagine a new America. How do what we do affects them in a negative way? And how can we change what we're doing that is affecting them in a negative way? But only the young people could give that voice.
absolutely. And see, that what adds on another layer with this piece, because the great way to silence the younger generation start with education. So
Yes.
if you make it harder for folks to go to university, college, that is during like a certain time span where I feel like when I went to college, that's when I learned the most, where things just
Mhm.
kind of opened up a lot further. Because now, not only where you are in these great universities or colleges, but a lot of times, I found out later on, but reason why you have a lot of these young uprisings is the libraries, the museums that are present in these universities, where it have chock full of information. So not what it's easy to see wherever you want online, but when you're researching on certain topics, books, photos, any type of research when what these university and schools and institutions have is in these resources, where that's why you see a lot of changes. Well, that's why you see a lot of folks, younger folks, push for that, for change, because they were able to access this information, do their own research, and see like, oh, everything has been a lie.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
But
then
it's also a thought too. I mean, it's just a thought. I have no idea I don't believe in conspiracy. Well, some things can be conspiracy theories, but
right.
you think about I mean, I'm looking at this image, and I love how the dollar is hanging at at the tip of the hat for your graduation hat. Um, y- we think about how education has become more accessible, right, to the general public. When I do believe it was under the Civil Rights Act, and I do believe it was Johnson that was also made it affordable. I know that also Clinton had not Clinton. La 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 la. Um, when I go back. Sorry, I'm having a brain freeze. But over the years, they made it more accessible for students to go to college. Even in New York, I mean, you could go to college for free in Cooney. Cooney used to be
Mm-hmm.
free. Education used to be free around the country. And
Mm-hmm.
then it was Reagan that kind of like put it into that. So, and then start reducing the funding and taking funding away, and so then they had to start charging, and before you know it, we went from $25 a credit to now $3,000 a credit,
Mm-hmm.
and so. But when you think about that, is that you could when you educate young people and then you arm them with all the history and knowledge. Well, once they got all that history and knowledge, you gotta get them occupied so they don't rise up. So,
Mm-hmm.
how about this? Create debt for them, because now they're not thinking about, "Oh, I just learned about Patrick Henry, give us liberty and give us death, give us
Right.
death." Um, but now they're thinking about I gotta pay this, I gotta pay this tuition. My tuition is $12,000. My tuition is $30,000. I gotta get two jobs. I gotta do so they cannot even engage in society to make a difference because they're now is about thinking they have to think inward so they
Mm-hmm.
never could think about the masses of outward and how we function as a collective because now they're thinking about, I got to pay my bills. I got to pay my bills. I don't have enough money. I got to find, and they're so consumed as young people, which I think of it as a horrible sin to have caused young people to have such outrageous college bills and tuition repayments. And hats off to the Biden administration that tried to get rid of those burdens. But you have to say it's something kind of wicked where people want you to have that burden. That's
Mhm.
a whole nother, we'll talk about that another time. But
Mhm.
but again, you become chasing the dollar, not only because you want to, better yourself or create a better situation for yourself, but you're also chasing the dollar so you can pay off the education that you just spent 4 years, 5 years, 6 years trying to get. And now you're under a mountain of debt. And
Mhm.
is no reasoning of how so many young people in my generation, I think, took their eyes off the ball of societal wrongs because we were so entrenched on paying off our college debt, trying to make it from day to day, make it from check to check.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
so I don't think it's a conspiracy, but I mean it could be, but I'm just saying it sounds like a nice little plan that that has happened.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was intentional, but I know that young people in my generation took the
Mm.
eyes off. People say, "Oh man, in the '60s there was a movement," and then the children of the '60s, we kind of like, "Oh, our parents fought for it. We got
Mhm.
freedoms. We're doing good. We're okay." And we took our eyes off the ball, but we were taking our eyes off the ball because we were distracted.
Mhm.
So anyway, I just had to interject. Sorry about this is your interview. This is your time. But again, this is our conversation, right?
Yeah.
And
It's yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was like, no. You speak at the end of the day. You speaking facts, and the best example, prime example, is look at me. Went to college. I'm still paying off loans, and I'm 32. Uh, I pay a whole bunch of it already, which is great. But one of the worst things was I feel like most college students or universities, students in general, who went to these schools, I, one of the first thing I paid off was Sally Mae, and Sally Mae was, they are very, 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 I don't want to say annoying, but they,
I dealt with
I'd
Sally
say,
Mae.
they will.
I know Sally very well.
Yeah, I know Sally. I think most people here probably know Sally very well. But I remember when they first started for repayment, they will call me through work. They will call me, send multiple emails, and this is just me just finishing or like college for just a month. And I was like, damn, you couldn't give me like at least 60
6 months
days.
in, when you graduate, 6 months in, they give you that bill immediately. It's
Yeah,
like
they're like,
clockwork.
they was like, no, you borrowed, right? You learned something. You gonna learn to pay these bills now. So
So,
yeah, it's there's so much I could touch base on it, but I know that we have limited time.
yeah, we could talk a lot. I mean, there's so much. Like I said, first of all, let me throw up some of your information, guys. If you have any questions, this is a good chance. I know we could go on and on, but if you have any questions, this is a good Q&A moment. But I want to share while you're getting your questions in your head real quick. If you want to ask Chris any questions, I'm going to share some of his information. One is you can go to his website, which is www.chriscook.art. And also, you can see his work on Instagram, visually conscious. And also, he has an amazing series of portrait photos that done in the studio, which is at Cook Studios. So you can look at both of those pages on Instagram. Great work. You will be blessed by going through his work. And also, he is on TikTok at Visually Conscious, and so you can check him out on TikTok and make sure you follow and hit the likes on his page. Again, That's how artists, you want to know how you can help artists without paying, maybe you don't have the dollars to help and support artists. Go to their pages, hit the likes, hit the likes, subscribe and share, or whatever they're doing. So that way they can get their message out so people can support them. You
And
may
please
not be able
send
to
me a
support. Go ahead, buddy.
Oh no, I was going to just add on. Just please, you also welcome to just send me a message. I love talking to folks. So even just communicating, that's what just motivate me to just keep going, keep creating this work because I'm hearing different views and from different people. And one last thing I want to add on, especially about the
Mm-hmm.
paintings, what got me motivated to do those paintings was because, well, to take it more seriously, there was a elementary workshop we did from one of my last group shows, and I had a painting. It's not on the website, but it was a Life magazine recreation of Angelina Davis. And
Mm.
what really touched me at that one, because when the elementary schools, well, students was looking through all the work, one of the workshop practices was like give them paper, pencils, and have them recreate some of their favorite artworks. And I was surprised, a little surprised, because usually these, as you can see with these covers, they're not a huge piece. They're like very shaped as a magazine cover, but
Mm-hmm.
to my surprise, some of the students was reacting to some of those that particular cover, and I was a bit surprised. But when I was able to talk to some of the students, I understand like, oh, I need to take this more seriously. I need to make more of these covers. Something has attracted them, and I think it's also because of, I think sometimes with you can see with the younger generation gravitated to like old media, old physical media.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an example of that is like how now a lot of folks are into vinyl discs now. you know People are getting tired of like streams, not all, but some people are get some younger generation is get tired of doing the new stage of streaming and stuff like that, and rather listen to music the old way, which is with vinyl. So I guess that's the kind of the same way I kind of relate to that with some of the younger folks, where they have a eye of looking at some stuff that are deemed old, but they see it as a new thing. Because why? In our household, we grew up with magazine covers.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna be the generation that do not grow up with that. They're gonna be the generation that are mostly virtual or digital, but it's nothing better having something that is either physical touch, or you can see it and you can tell this is real. Because we are living in a society where it's gonna be really hard to tell what's real or not. We have, and you
Very
can
true.
that with AI now. So I think that's what motivated me to do these covers particular, because in a sense, just like similar with my photography, it is about archiving history. And these covers in a sense is given a chance for people to see covers as sorry flyers, giving people to see a certain time capsule, see how
Mhm.
things that was in the past is relevant to the present. And I think that's very powerful, because in the sense that these works is their old archive as well too.
Wow, and you picked some good ones. I tell you that you picked some really good ones, and you went back and you've gone to like Jet
Thank
Magazine,
you.
Ebony, New Yorker, all these, and it's just it's brilliant what you've been able to accomplish. I do. Is there a question here? Let me see who any questions out there. Um, Elise says she has started collecting vinyl again. I see Kaz sending some applause there. Um, yeah. So if you guys have any questions, make sure you can ask right now. If not, just give them some love. Just share them some love with. Thank you for Chris being here. Chris, any if you could talk to your 16-year-old self, what would you tell your 16-year-old self?
Oh well, I got this question before, so for me, I honestly will. It's funny because it wasn't much. I wouldn't tell this, I guess, that him much, but I actually will spend time with my younger self, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So, I think with a lot of my work, you could kind of see, and sorry, you could kind of see that it's kind of a youthfulness in it.
Mhm.
And for me, if I have the ability to be able to talk to my younger self, it will be more focused on just playing with him as a kid, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And for that, the reason why I say that in particular is because a lot of my work is based on playfulness. Whether it is doing photography or doing painting, is what really get my mind ticking is be able to keep the youth alive within myself. So I guess in a sense I wouldn't say much. I'll probably just say, "Yo, what's up, younger self?" But
Mhm.
I think in the sense I would be most likely be able to have a chance to play and create with my younger self. That will be like if I have a time machine and able that would be the first thing I do because I wouldn't tell my younger self to change anything about me because this where I am now is because of what I did in the past. I mean, I might
Yes.
tell the younger self like, "Yo, I've been through Facebook, bro. Just put mass stocks in it. Just no, I'm just kidding, but
You some financial stuff. But here's another one also, and this is like and this would
yeah,
be the end, the last question, is it you have your painting life and you have your photography life. How do you balance the two? How do you balance the two of them
mhm.
in your creativity?
Great question. So for me, how I balance painting and photography is through series of work. So example of that is during 2020, focus on Black Lives Matter, and even right now, the current series I'm focused on is Mirror of the Times. So in a sense, I'm as a creator, and I guess in the sense, multifaceted creator or artist.
Mhm.
I love the balance I have is let's say I have a list. Let's just say virtual list in my mind.
Mhm.
So there's certain projects that are top priority, and some of them is just either second, third, or throughout how the list goes on, and that's switched up over time. So obviously right now I am focused on the painting series, so that is top priority right now. But I'm always photographing. I always have my camera out. I'm whether if I'm going to A to Z, wherever the case may be, I always have my camera with me. And with photography, it's a little bit different, and it works out because in the sense I am always creating multiple different series within photography. However,
Yeah.
it's something that it takes time for these series to be thought of, captured, organized, put together. And that's I think that's why my photography works very well within my paintings is because with photography, it depends on what I'm documenting. Sometimes it takes time to document what you're seeing. Example of that is one of the document series I've been constantly working on within 10 years is focusing on how gentrification is affecting New York. That is something that
Mhm.
takes time to do. But time for photographers is their best friend. Why is
Mhm.
that? Is I don't have the image up, but now you give me an idea. I should put it up there. But one of the things I did with gentrification was one idea I did was I went to the same building multiple times and photographed how it looks like through when it was abandoned, through construction, to where the finished storefront is now. So one of those buildings I remember was it still had like the George Floyd mural on it. They tore it
Yes.
down, fixed it up, and it became the storefront of a new Blink. It's that
Yes.
gym. I keep forgetting it.
Blick.
So it
The
be
Blick
yeah, Blick.
company,
There we go.
the yes, supply store.
Oh no, not Blick. It's a gym. I forgot. It started with B or P, something like that. It's
Is
not
it
Planet
not Black
Fitness. It's
Planet? Not Black
mm-mm.
no, not that.
I just forgot the name of the gym, but it's everywhere now. Just like with Planet Fitness, but it became a new storefront of the gym. So that was like one of the ongoing projects of me just capturing and documenting gentrification because some of the places I grew up in I don't recognize anymore, and I still live within Brooklyn. So
Especially in Brooklyn, especially here in Brooklyn.
absolutely. So that's how my painting and photography works out in a sense. It's like it is based on a series of work, and I always am creating different things, but some is priority, some is less priority. But I am always working on different series. But I think what helps me just I'm very organized. I keep certain things into folders. I keep things uh, uh, onto certain lists, Excel sheets, and stuff like that. And that's what keep me to be focused and be able to create these different projects in between. So for me, like I think to end it off with, it's like this is why I feel like right now I'm happy to be very organized. That thanks to my
Mhm.
mom. I remember growing up with her. You can see how the household was just everything is spotless or everything is in a certain place. But that's kind of like how my mindset works as a creative. Is that I learned to be able to work with different projects, but be able to give put particular pauses on certain things where if I need to jump back into it, it's very easy just to resume where I left off. And that's
Mm.
what's been pushing me to keep creating throughout these years is be able to see how projects start off and how project finish from there. And I think that's as creative, which that is like some of the hardest things to deal with sometimes is learning how to complete your projects, and that's
Wow,
something which I
yes.
feel like I don't want to say master yet, but I got very well to be able to see from A to Z and move on to the next.
Wow. And I just wanted to make sure we give a shout out to your book. So I wanted to do that. And for
Thank
those
you.
that Chris Cook, you can find it's Black Lives Matter. Is it on Amazon or do they have to purchase just through your website?
So now it's through my gallery. So
Through your gallery, okay.
right, if you click on that image, that say view,
Mm-hmm.
uh, so you're on the website right now. If you click view, yep, and then those are just some information. But when you scroll all the way down, then there's a email that you could reach out to, which is always on the bottom. Yep, there you go.
And you just
And the
inquire.
gallery,
Okay, got it.
yep, from Wheel
Awesome.
Core. Well, the
Man,
email is Wheel Core. Yeah.
and your photos are so powerful. And so I'm gonna have to get this book, put it in my library, so that way, because I like to collect books, but I like to collect them with the signature. So that means one of these days when we're hanging out, I am gonna have your signature right on your book. So we're gonna get that done. And
I
but you
love
can
it.
again check out his website. Has everything here, everything you could possibly need. His media, his biography, and I mean, when you go through his look, I mean, this is I just read this part of his biography, but look at all of the accomplishments that this young brother has done. Look at all these exhibitions that his work has been in. And so y- y- you are a incredible person, and you
Thank
are I appreciate knowing you. I appreciate meeting you. I don't even know how I don't even know I think the first day I don't even know how the first day of meeting you. I just know you just popped up into my life out of nowhere, and then I just keep seeing you. But you are an incredible brother,
Wow, that
and
image.
and again, look at all these accomplishments. So you can go to his page, check him out, and you can just go through all of these wonderful tabs here on his webpage.
And
Um,
that image is
man,
Nervy Lane too. Sorry.
I loved it. I love that. I
This is
love
the
that
St.
image.
Paul. This is the
I
St.
know.
Paul.
I love this picture of you in your studio. It's so good. And but yes, man. Man, thank you so much, guys. Give it up for our wonderful Chris Cook. Give some applause, give some love, give some hearts. If you also in the building, make sure you hit the likes because it helps our algorithms. And yes, here we go. And I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it. There we go. I'm using it. I'm using it. And here we go. So thank you. G says, great conversation. Here we go. Great conversation. Kimmy says, great conversation. Congratulations,
Thank
Kimmy says. G says, that's awesome. And Danette says, thanks, Ron and Chris. Great conversation. So if you enjoyed that, make sure you hit the likes. Make sure you share it with your other photographer friends. You have young students that are interested in photography. I think this is a real good recap for them. They can learn about Chris and what he does, and I think they will inspire some of your young proteges that are out there that want to learn about the arts and be a part of the arts. And yeah, there's a lot of upcoming creatives out there, and they can be inspired by Chris Cook's work. So thank you again, Chris. This was absolutely wonderful. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to spend time with our community and share your work, your time. We appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
And I appreciate you, Ron, and thank you everyone who stopped by to listen in. It's quite a pleasure, and I love what I'm doing. I'm really fortunate enough to be able to keep creating, and I hope. Well, I don't want to say hope, but I definitely will just keep pushing, keep making more new things because at the end of the day, I feel that art has so much meaning, and you could see that throughout different generations how art is always one of the always in the position where it start real change. So just really
Yes.
fortunate to be part of that as well too.
Yes. Okay, guys, and I see you guys over in the Instagram world. I see Keith May just popped through. I see Harlem 84, Ole from all the way from Tanzania was in the building. Pam is in the building over there in the Instagram world. So, guys, thank you again for joining us. And this was awesome. Thank you again. Have a great day, guys. It's Hump Wednesday. And
It's help
tomorrow
win.
we'll have our whole panel of the conversation, except for Gwendolyn. She'll be taking care of business. And we'll have Chris here tomorrow, and we'll all be talking about politics. There's a whole lot going on. And I'm going to tell you about a find that I found this week that someone educated me on about the Statue of Liberty. Stay tuned about the Statue of Liberty tomorrow. We'll talk about that as well. Okay, guys, love you all. Have a great Wednesday. I got to get ready for a photo shoot this evening. I am going to be doing some work in the city. Thank goodness for work. Love work. And so take care, guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Make sure you hit the like, the subscribe, and leave a comment on this video. I would love to hear from you. Thank you again. Until I see you next time.